kids don't even play sports really no more. They're like, I want to bodybuild. And I think a huge proponent of that is Chris Bumstead. I was like, dude, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I've been saying this whole fucking time, I'm gonna win. Every single comment on my Instagram, DM, bro, you're gonna win, this and that. And I just got like shit on, essentially. When you win, it's like, hell yeah, I'm happy, but I didn't expect anything less. When you lose, it's like crushing. A lot of these kids think they're, one cycle away from looking like Chris Bumstead or being a top pro, and they have to find out the hard way. That's just not how that works. I'm up there sweating, giving it my all. I hear my family screaming. Everyone's there to support me. These judges.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outliers podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Andy Paredes. Hopefully, I said that right. He is a classic physique champion. He is an IFBB pro bodybuilder, a social media star on the rise, and a certified baller. If you guys didn't know, a man's can hoop. But thank you, man. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate this.
Hey, thank you for letting me on the pod, bro. It means a lot. I came out here, didn't really know what to expect, and this is actually my first podcast.
Hey, so I'm glad that this is your first one.
Like, I watch all these podcasts every single day, and like the fact that I'm on one is actually pretty cool. So I'm actually really looking forward to all the questions and this whole experience in general, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So before we get in this, I quickly just want to give people some context. This is pretty crazy. So people that don't know, Andy and me actually played on the same basketball team when we were in 8th grade, which is insane because when I first met Andy was probably a similar size to me, obviously a little bit bigger, but now he is 1,000 times bigger than me. Talk me through just like what happened from 8th grade. What was that like mindset from then to like where you are right now?
So in 7th grade, 8th grade, like, I was a teen and I went through that phase, like a lot of smoking, drinking, skipping class, like just hanging out with the wrong people and stuff. I had my fun, but I noticed like I started getting in trouble a lot. And I still really liked sports, but I was mixing the wrong things with sports and, I was just going down a wrong path. And I remember one day specifically, I had got suspended from school for like 2 days or something. And I was really frustrated about it. And I was staying with my dad at the time. And I remember he had in his garage, just the typical, set of dumbbells, the bar with some plates or whatever, right? A little bench. And I was so frustrated, probably just because I was at that age, and he's like, you're so mad, like, let's just go pump some iron, old school. So I'm like, fuck it. Like, I don't really know. I never really worked out like that, but whatever, let's get a pump. And we just started training, did some basic stuff, curls and bench press and that type of stuff. And it really helped me a lot. But as far as like transitioning from being what I was in 7th and 8th grade, like how when you met me, to kind of what I am now is that. And there was that specific moment in time where it kind of hit me like, man, I don't really like the friends I'm hanging out with. And like, I really like working out and like, I'm just going to like see how far I can take this. And I think a lot of it stemmed also from when I was in middle school, elementary school. Like I actually did get made fun of a lot from like being skinny. Like people would like laugh, or like if I was going to go play on the football team or basketball, they're like, bro, you're so scrawny, you're so skinny, like you're so weak. I remember, 7th and 8th grade, you're in the weightlifting class and like, I couldn't even put like a 10 on the bar and everyone was laughing at me. And like, I don't know if that's something that like stemmed from that made me want to like put on more size, but I think that's kind of like what happened as far as that.
That's a really good point you just brought up there. And I want to touch on that. So a lot of times we see people, and I'm not accusing you of this, but
yeah,
there's a difference between ambition and insecurity.
Yeah, for sure.
How much do you think what you become was ambition versus security?
I think
insecurity, sorry.
Yeah. It's funny, like in bodybuilding specifically, like competing, like a lot of it is like insecurity driven, whether they're trying to make up for something that they don't have, or maybe lack of confidence in their self. or maybe, you know, they grew up skinny and they got made fun of and they're like, I'm going to be bigger than everyone now. So a lot of bodybuilding like stems from insecurity, you know, in itself. I think I did get made fun of like in that sense. But that's not like a driving force to this day. Like it initially started making me wanted to work out and like train and like be more serious and like stop hanging out with certain people. And then after some time, like I was like, dude, I really like this shit. Like I really like going to the gym every day. Like I like getting a pump. I like the idea that like I can change how my body looks with the work that I put in. And I think around maybe like after a year, I started like seeing bodybuilders like, oh, who's the best in the world? Like what is competing? What is this? What is that? And I started just learning more about the sport and the people at the top. And then I was hooked, bro, instantly. Like 15 years old, I remember showing my mom a video of like, I don't know if you know who like Jay Cutler is, but he's like one of the most popular bodybuilders. I'm showing her like, look, I want to look like this. My mom's like, ew, like that's so gross. Like he's so big. Like what even is that? And I'm like, nah, this is sick. This is what I want to look like. And it just kind of, you know, blasted off from there. You know, that insecurity of like maybe being made fun of like in the beginning ultimately like transformed to like me being very ambitious about something else. So the insecurity kind of led to me finding this. And once I found this, I became just very inspired and ambitious towards this goal. So yeah.
You brought up a certain, yeah, you brought up a certain point in that you felt when you're in the gym getting that pump, you know, it felt good. You know, that's what it kind of drove you a bit. Personally, when I'm in the gym or when I play basketball, you know, that's my hobby. I find that all the noise in my head kind of cancels out in a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Is that like,
I mean,
it's like therapy almost?
I mean, it's been 10 years, bro, since I've been doing it because I'm 24 now and I started, you know, training real serious when I was around 14. And like to this day, bro, like I walk into the gym, even if I'm with a training partner or by myself, it's like the place I feel safest. Like no matter what's going on in my day, like, I mean, I've been doing it for so long. Like I've had shitty jobs. I've been in toxic relationships. You know, I've had no money. I've had like so many things going on at once. You know, I've dealt with depression and breakups and all this stuff, like just like everyone has. And something that has never failed is like, I still make it to the gym, and that hour and a half, 2 hours that I'm there, it's like the highlight of my day every time. So like, yeah, even to this day, bro, 10 years later, I still look forward to going to the gym and training and like being in that zone and like kind of just shutting off the world, putting my phone in my bag and just like having fun, because it's like something that I truly love. Just like a basketball player, you know, like LeBron James, he's going to put his phone away and he's going to go out on the court and like do what he loves to do, you know? So it's the same thing. Like I still have that passion, just as if like it was the first day I walked in, still to this day, thankfully.
That's amazing, because I feel the same way. I'm not like nearly, you know, as where you are, but I feel like a lot of people and a lot of our viewers, they can feel that similar experience of just like, you know, no matter what is going on throughout their day, if they're having a shitty day, or if, you know, if they're at school, they failed or something, you know, they can always rely on that one outlet, you know, a healthy outlet to help them versus, you know, going to those vices of like smoking weed or drinking, you know.
I think that's part of actually what it was. Like you said, everyone needs their vice, right? Like some people, they go out and party every night and that's their vice. Like some people, you know, do whatever and that's their vice. Like when I was younger, my vice was like meeting up with my friends, smoking, going to parties, drinking, whatever it may be. And that vice, I found bodybuilding, and that vice then turned into, I'm going to go train. Like, what's my two decisions? I can meet up with my friends, go drink, and I've done all this already. I already know this outcome. Or I can go get dropped off at the gym, train some arms, and I'm going to actually feel good about myself afterwards. And I just think, you know, making that right choice was like really good for me. Yeah. So
keeping on the mental train, we know it is an outlet for you and for many people.
Yeah.
However, the stage that you are in, or you are in right now, there's probably a lot of stress, anxiety associated with also training because you are doing it professionally.
Yeah.
Right? They say that the difference between a amateur and professional is the amateur does something until they can get it right. The professional does something until they can't get it wrong. How do you feel that applies to you?
I mean, what you said is 100% right. And as far as like being stressed out and the pressure and all that, so I just recently turned professional, and that was like, 2 or 3 months ago. And that was the biggest milestone in my whole entire life up to this point. And, I got to say, like, in these last few years, I did feel that pressure because I am 24 and like that is young, but for the viewers that don't know, like you usually hit your prime in bodybuilding around between like 30 and 35. After 35, it's kind of like, okay, you're getting kind of old. Like you might want to start, think about like having a family, maybe starting a career after, because you can't train and compete like your whole life. You get to a certain point where you can't do that anymore. And a lot of the top guys, they turn pro around 25, 26, 27. Some guys turn pro really, really young, 20, 21. And I've been doing it for 10 years and I'm like, fuck, I still haven't turned pro. And like, it would scare me every single day. Like I would tell my girl, like, what if I never turn pro? What if, 20 years go by and I look back, I'm like, damn, I never turned pro. And it's something that would like eat me alive. And I did feel that pressure for a long time. That's why, when I did turn pro at this last show, it was like the biggest weight lifted off my shoulders in the whole world. And I feel like even since the show, I've just been more at ease with my life in general. And it's allowed me to kind of enjoy things for what they are and, even like not take things so seriously, especially when it comes to like bodybuilding, like it's been cool. It's been really cool just to like enjoy it more, be more at peace, knowing like I accomplished this goal. Not that I'm letting my foot off the gas or anything, but like that pressure of like, I gotta turn pro, I gotta do it. Like I did it. So now it breeds more confidence within myself, but also like allows me to like kind of have my mind at ease and enjoy training and bodybuilding for what it is and not like, I have to, right?
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. And let's just give some tight goals for the people that obviously are not involved in this world. So you start training, what are like the levels of, becoming amateur and then like a pro, or like is something between, like what's like the levels for this?
Yeah. So like so you'll have obviously your local show, right? Like there's a show where we live locally here in Fresno, and it's just like the Fresno Classic. You'll get a lot of novice competitors, like it's their first show, or maybe it's their first or second show. They're still very new to the sport. Like they're just doing the show for the first time because they want to see what it's like. And then a lot of these shows, you'll see people like, they don't really know how to pose, or they might not be in stage ready condition. But it's cool because it's a first time show. It's like, just kind of get your feet wet and see what it's about. And then, there's higher tier shows. And to put in a context, the ultimate goal, like let's say the Super Bowl, right? For us is like this thing called the Olympia. So you make it to the Olympia, you're the best in the world, you compete with the best in the world, like all that. So you go from an amateur show, like a local show like this, to maybe a higher tier local show. You go from the Fresno, maybe you go to like the Southern California Championships, or the Mr. California, or the Texas Championships, or something a little bit bigger that's going to have more serious competitors, more competitors, higher caliber athletes. And then once you feel like, okay, I want to try to get this professional status, you have to place first or second at one of these local shows to even qualify to go to that national level to attempt to attain your pro status. So then you have the national level shows. And these shows, it's like, think of every single person you're going against is the best in their area, essentially. So you're not going up against a novice or someone that's not going to be in shape. You're going up against people that are just as good as you, who have maybe been doing it for a lot longer than you, and it's a whole new ball game. So then you have to work your way up the national ranks. And then, in most cases, it's first or second place in your class to get your professional status. And there's 20, 30, 40 people sometimes in a class, and you have to get first or second. You got to think like there's 40 good guys. The odds of being first or second, you got to be pretty damn good to get that. So, as far as the ranks, like you'll see a lot of people do these national shows for years and years and years, and they'll never turn pro because it's so hard. And then once you obtain pro status, then you compete with a bunch of other pros. You can't compete as an amateur anymore. You can't do these local shows anymore. You compete at pro shows and pro shows only against all other pros. And then to make it to that Olympia, you have to win a pro show. So you have to get first place against all of these other people who have already won these local shows. They've already won their national show. And now you beat them at this pro show. So it's like a lot. It's a long journey. And like for as advanced as I am, and as like as high at a level as I am, I'm still essentially like in the beginning stages of my career, which is pretty crazy to think, you know?
Yeah. 10 years in, still feeling like you're basically kind of amateur in the pros, you know?
Exactly. I'm at the bottom now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lot of pressure, you know? You have to basically win. You can't get third place. You can't, get fourth place. It's not good enough. And like winning, obviously, in basketball, you have that best score. You have more points. What's like the scoring like, for a physique, and is it sometimes, not fair?
Sometimes it is not fair. It's cool because that we're talking about this because, so many people like have no clue what bodybuilding is. They just think it's like guys flexing on stage, and they're like, how do you judge this? Like they all look the same. The first couple shows that my family went to, they're like, everyone looks the same. How do you judge? But essentially it's who has the most symmetry. So everything looks perfect from top to bottom. Condition. So as far as body fat, right? You need to be really lean. You need to be vascular. You need to have every cut showing. Proportion, making sure, my upper body isn't huge, but my legs are small. And then also posing, you'll see, tons of guys, they'll have the best physique ever. Like, dude, he looks like a Greek god. But then they get on stage and they don't know how to pose, and they lose to someone who doesn't look as good as them because, you can have the best physique in the whole world, but if you can't display it to the judges, you're going to lose. So it's essentially a criteria of proportion, symmetry, condition, and posing. So all of those things come into consideration. But as far as like the actual winner and how it's chosen, it's what is the word I'm thinking of? It's subjective. So, me and you might go to a competition and we're watching. I'm like, hey, I like this guy. And you're like, nah, I like this guy better. It's honestly personal preference. The physiques look so similar. It's like, how do you choose? Honestly, like, rule of thumb is kind of like, look in the middle and who is your eye drawn to? It's like this guy. Usually you can tell, like the more shows you watch, you'll know like, okay, this guy stands out of all the guys, and then you'll see why, this guy wins. So it is very hard to judge. There's usually never like a clear cut winner. And if there is, that guy is really, really good. Like, damn, he's the champ. He beat everyone and it's not even close. But most of the time it's up in the air. Like you can get first, you can get third, and it's subjective, so it's very hard. So a lot of people, get off stage and they're like, I should have won. I feel like I should have won, or I should have placed higher, and, people get upset, and it's hard. It's very hard.
What about, there's different training styles, obviously, and, to be in these competitions, you obviously need to be able to lift a good amount of weight, right? But I've heard recently that a lot of it is training more aesthetically, once you take like your position of like, maybe not doing the heaviest weight, but being able to control it very, very eccentrically, or, just doing it more so you have that full like blood flow. Just give me more context of like, obviously strength is important, but how much importance is there on like, the aesthetic part of like training?
So there really isn't like one way to train specifically. Like everyone has their own style, kind of just like MMA or UFC. Like everyone has their own style, right? And as far as training and putting on muscle, there's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. There's some people who just train heavy on everything. They go to a machine heavy, dumbbells heavy, barbells heavy. There's some people that train light, they go high reps, and they still build muscle. So for most people, it's really just about finding what works for you. Like you mentioned, lifting heavy is obviously important. You can't lift 5-pound dumbbells and build a huge chest. But ultimately it's about progressive overload. So essentially what that means is week by week, month by month, year by year, you want to progress in some form or some fashion, whether that be, let's just take, you're doing 100 pounds on a bench press. You can progress in the form of adding more weight or doing more reps, or maybe you don't add more weight or reps, but those 10 reps that you get, you can actually control it, go slow, you feel your muscle more, you're able to like feel the contraction more, you're able to feel the connection more. So there's so many different ways you can progress in the gym. But as far as bodybuilding, like the main thing is just progressive overload. You just want to train more efficiently. You want to be able to target the muscle. You want to be able to stay healthy, keep your joints healthy, avoid injuries, obviously, because if you get injured, you can't train. So really, there's people who've been training for 20 years and they train different, so really there's not one way, I found what works best for me. When I was younger, I trained really, really heavy, did a lot of free weights. I haven't even touched free weights in like at least a year and a half, because I weigh the risk reward. I'm like, I can do this machine. It's going to feel easier on my joints and it's going to target my muscle better. And I feel my body feels fresh and I'm still able to, do what I need to do and hit the muscle. Versus, you get under a bar or you lift some super heavy dumbbells, the next day your elbows might hurt, wear and tear on your joints, your, tendons, ligaments, all that. So I've learned that, just especially recently, just slow, controlled, make sure your form is almost perfect, and really don't even really worry about the weight so much. Just worry about connecting with that muscle, working the muscle, and staying healthy, essentially.
Can you provide some maybe tips for people? Because I actually struggle with this myself, with the mind-muscle connection. Specifically in my chest, it was really hard initially. I've got it down now, but initially it was just really hard to kind of feel the right muscle sometimes. Like maybe I was feeling my shoulder a little bit. How did you efficiently, or best way to kind of build that mind-muscle connection for maybe that's somebody starting?
It's honestly something that like each individual has to learn themselves, and like you have to pretty much find like mental cues to remind yourself of. Like even me, like I just trained chest yesterday, and I did a movement and I was like, I kind of feel that in my shoulder more than my chest, and I've been doing it for 10 years. So someone who's just starting, they might be doing a bench press and they're like, I don't feel it in my chest. Like, what do I do? Kind of like you asked. It's really just about like having certain cues on certain exercises that where you can just remind yourself. Like for example, for 9 years, I never really felt my back when I'm training. Like I would do back, I'd do all the machines, all the exercises, and I wouldn't feel like a pump. I wouldn't feel anything in my back, like nothing was happening. Really, all I had to do is change a few certain cues. Instead of grabbing the bar with my thumb under, I would grab it with my thumb over to prevent my forearms from being overworked. Instead of just rowing and just trying to move the weight from point A to point B, I'm like, okay, let me close my eyes and like actually think about the anatomy of my back and like using my back muscles to move this weight, right? So really it's just about like mental cues, and just kind of learning what exercises you feel, what exercises you don't feel, and the ones that you don't feel, try to find those mental cues. Like, okay, if I put my chest up, do I feel it more? Okay, yes, I feel it. And then you just kind of build your knowledge, and you sharpen your tools a little bit more when you train. You're like, okay, I know when I do this machine, I got to put my hands right here and I got to put my chest up, and then I feel it. Those are your cues that you need to learn. And then you'll get better with the mind muscle connection as you train. You'll find what movements work for you, what movements you don't like, and it's just about progressing in that sense.
Recently there's been, obviously bodybuilding's been popular, but I feel like it's kind of reached a new mainstream audience in a way. And we talked about this briefly when we first, saw each other in the gym again. But nowadays I'm seeing like kids pop up everywhere, just like wanting to train, wanting to be like bodybuilders, wanting to like be their best versions of themselves. I see it in the gym all the time. I'm sure they come up to you all the time as well. Just recently in the last few years or so, I would say like 4 or 5, I noticed that there's a lot more people on this scene, and how does that make you feel? One, and then two, are you like inspired? Was that what inspired you, I guess, to kind of like take it to the next level?
I think it's actually really cool that, a lot of people are getting into the gym. the one downfall obviously is like the gyms are always busy now.
Always busy.
You go to the local gym, you're going to see kids there, you're going to see younger people there. Like, it just is what it is. Like, when we talked briefly, we're like, kids don't even play sports really no more. They're like, I want to bodybuild. And I think a huge proponent of that is Chris Bumstead. I mean, he has truly made like bodybuilding and competing cool and popular. And it's because he himself is so relatable. He's so funny. He's so cool. And obviously he has the sickest physique like ever. And, you know, that inspires people to like, I'm going to go work out. This is cool. I want to look like him. I want to be like him. And then also, you know, the rise of social media, like really like you don't even have to be advanced. There's plenty of guys who just barely start working out. They start posting on TikTok, Instagram, whatever, and they blow up. And I feel like, you know, training knowledge and bodybuilding knowledge is so accessible now. It does become more mainstream, like you said, versus, you know, 10 years ago, the average kid might be like, what the hell is bodybuilding? I never even heard of that, whatever. Like me, I didn't even know what it was until I discovered a video on YouTube. But now you go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, you're going to see kids with their shirts off, hitting poses, doing their thing, eating their meals, training, trying to hit PRs on bench press or squats or something. And it's very mainstream. So in a way, I think it's actually very cool because it's becoming more popular. And then, you know, guys like myself who do compete, you know, almost get more respect in a sense because, you know, if people don't really know anything about competing or bodybuilding, they don't even like know what I'm about, or they don't really respect me because they're like, oh, he's just a lifter or something. But now that they're into it and it's mainstream, they know, they're like, oh, he's a professional, he's sick, he's this, he's that. And it's pretty cool because, you know, it's like, it gives more notoriety in a sense because people actually know what it is. It's pretty cool.
I want to talk about the cons of that as well. Not because I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think that people need to be safe. Obviously, you see all these people online and they're like, I want to be like this person, but I want it right away.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like a lot of people maybe get into some of these steroids a little bit too early. Maybe they're too young, you know, and they're like, I want this right now. I want this right away. Instead of taking the 10 years, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. And how do you feel about that?
I mean, it's like we live in that world right now. It's like instant gratification. Everybody wants that, but what you need is the delayed gratification, and especially with bodybuilding, bro, because it takes so long. Unless you're like some genetic marvel who's like 1 out of a million, and you can train, you just build muscle, you just blow up by doing nothing. 99% of people are not that, and like they have to work for years and years on end just to like maintain what they have and grow a little bit and, you know, kind of build the body that they want. And as far as you said, like, I mean, I see that too, bro. Like there's people that are like 20, 22 years old and they're like, I need to be a pro right now, and they've been training for a year. Or they're like, I get people in my DM like, hey, I'm gonna hop on this cycle. I'm like, how long have you been training? 6 months. And it's frustrating to see, because I'm like, a lot of these kids think they're, you know, one cycle away from looking like Chris Bumstead or being a top pro, and they have to find out the hard way. That's just not how that works. And then, like you said, all those health risks come along with that. You know, they take stuff that they don't really know what it's going to do to their body. They don't understand like the side effects that potentially come with taking it. And, you know, before you know it, like you run into all types of health issues just because you think like, oh, I'm going to take this, and then, you know, a year or two, I'll be a professional or I'll be massive. It just takes a lot longer than that. And there's so much more that goes into it than just taking those drugs, you know. It's a whole aspect of, it's a whole thing that you have to nail, you know, diet, training, supplementation, consistency, progressive overload. There's so many things, and drugs are just a small part of that. So for the younger guys that are listening, you know, you taking one cycle or you taking more drugs because you're like, I need to see more progress, it's just really not how it works. You know, like there's cause and effect for everything. So sure, you could take more drugs and you might get a little stronger, you might get a little bigger, but ultimately, like, what is that doing for your health long term?
And it's so accessible nowadays too.
Yeah.
Like people can get it anywhere. Yeah, I feel like I've seen just like pill forms of stuff. I don't know exactly what it is, but I feel like people just kind of, they're just experimenting nowadays, and it's kind of crazy.
I hear too many horror stories, bro. Like I get clients and I'm like, are you natural? No, I'm not. Okay, please send me what it is that you're taking.
Yeah.
I'm taking this, and this. And this person has been training for a year. We'll give an example. This person's been training for a year and they're taking this, and this. And I'm like, that's twice as much as I'm taking. I'm a professional. I'm like, who told you to take that? Oh, my boy or so-and-so at the gym told me to take it. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, to give an example, it'd be like, you are an experienced lifter and you take 1 scoop of pre-workout, right? Okay, that's like my go-to. I take 1 scoop. It's more than enough. It gets the job done. Then you meet some guy, he's new to the gym. You're like, how many scoops of pre-workout do you take? Oh, I take 10 scoops. You're like, dude, that is so excessive. There's absolutely no need. Like, who gave you the idea to take 10 scoops of pre-workout? You're like, what are you doing? And the thing is, like, it's shitty because they don't know any better. Like if you're new to the game and, homeboy at the gym has a plug and you want to get big, here, take this, and this. They have no clue what it is, no clue what it does. And then they run into all types of side effects, and it's shitty because they don't know any better. And it's just like so unfortunate because there's so much like misinformation out there.
Can you talk about, if you're open to it, what you're on right now, and then when did you start? How long did you train before you started? Just so people can understand, like, you're a professional. This is maybe the way mistakes you made, or maybe how you progressed into safely, getting into it.
Yeah. So as far as what I'm on right now, I'm just on a very minimal dose of testosterone right now. Most people call it TRT. So it's almost just like testosterone replacement therapy. So essentially people with like low test who don't even bodybuild, like they'll go get on TRT because they need to have like healthier testosterone levels. So essentially what I'm taking right now is 2 shots a week of minimal test, essentially just to keep my testosterone levels at a normal rate, because I'm essentially in a health phase right now. So like I mentioned, I did that show around like 2.5 months ago. Obviously I had to take a lot of stuff, put my body through a ton for a long period of time. There's this recovery phase that comes after that. You can't just like run your body into the ground every single day all year. Your body won't take it. You'll get burnt out. You need to take that time off and recover and give your body that break. So that's what I'm doing right now. So my gear usage, we'll call it that because I know you don't know the term. So whenever we're talking about steroids, we'll just use the term gear. So when I say gear, that's what I'm talking about. So like my gear usage right now is very, very minimal. And essentially it's just to keep my testosterone levels at a normal rate. As far as when I started taking them, I had been training for 4 years. And I was young for sure, but I was very strong. Like I was benching 3 plates already. I had already weighed 200 pounds. I was already lifting the 100-pound dumbbells. And I think more importantly, I already was dead set on like, this is what I want to do. Like, I don't care. Like I had been doing it for 3-4 years at the time. This is what I want to do. Like I want to bodybuild. I don't want to play sports. I don't want to go get a 9-to-5. I want to bodybuild. If I could go back, I probably would have waited until I was maybe 20, 21, give my body a little bit more time naturally, but I didn't. And hindsight's always 20/20. So, I did start it at pretty young age, but through my timeline of taking stuff, I've always been like very minimal. Like, let me get the most out of the absolute least. And like I mentioned, like there's so many guys at the local gym or even some of my clients who I get, they're on 2x, 3x, 5x as much stuff as me. And it just blows my mind because I'm like, dude, you've never even been on a stage before. You've never dieted. You only been training for a year and you're taking all this stuff. It's crazy. So yeah, as far as like the younger people listening, like if you're a teen, you're thinking about doing it, like as hungry as you are to get bigger, like just wait. Like the stage isn't going anywhere. Bodybuilding is not going anywhere. And like, I think the biggest thing is like making your health the number one priority, right? And I think that's something that I've learned and like matured with over the years because, I want to be able to do this for 15 more years. And I don't want to like have to retire early or quit, or even worse, I retire and then later down the road, I'm 40, 50 years old. I got this issue and this issue and this issue, and I don't want that. So my health is my number one priority.
I think the message to take away from there is that delayed gratification is everything. You know, whether it's even in bodybuilding, life, business, school, sport, whatever it is, I think that most people can benefit from that delayed gratification. I think it's tough nowadays with everything you see on social media, you know, everything you're seeing online. It's just tough, but I advise you guys, you know, take advice from Andy or even myself, you know, as a businessman. Delayed gratification will feel better at the end than anything, any sort of anything instant, that candy bar, that sugar, whatever it is, that the steroids, whatever it is, may feel good in the moment, but will not afterwards.
Yeah, and there's this, you know, old saying, it's good shit takes time. And it does. Like, you want to be a really good basketball player, chances are, like, you're not going to be that good in a month. You want to be a really good golfer, it's going to take some time. You're going to have to learn and get better, just like anything else. Like, in your case, you want to be a good content creator, a good businessman. Like, you didn't do this shit in a few weeks. Like, you grind for week after week, year after year, and you get better and you get better and you get better. And like you said in the very beginning of the podcast, would you say a amateur does it till they
get it right?
Yep. And then a professional
does it until they can't get it wrong.
Exactly. So you have to work up to that. You have to work up to these levels, you know. And it's just I think it's a lot of it is the social media. It's very easy to go on your phone and see someone that's your age, like, bro, this dude's my age and he has a Lambo, or this dude's my age and he has a fat house and I'm still living at home. It's very easy to compare yourself to these other people and then in turn feel insecure about yourself and then be like, you know what, I'm going to do that thing that's like for the instant gratification. I'm going to take a bunch of steroids. That way I could advance super fast. But it's just not how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah. I want to take a minute to talk about a couple things, but first is I want people to get inspired by your story. When you were first going through the process of becoming a pro bodybuilder, there were many ups and downs, I'm sure. I want to get into some of the low points.
I was expecting something like this, but yeah.
When anybody's going through anything in life, they have different ways of coping. They have different ways of trying to manage, you know, or achieve their goals. When you were at your lowest point, how did you get there? And then what did you do to try to get back?
As far as my lowest point in like my bodybuilding career, it was last year. You know, I feel like a very level-headed individual, and I'm very also realistic with like my expectations. So last year, I started working with a new coach, who's one of the best in the game. His name is Matt Jansen. And we did our first show together. It was the Mr. California, and I won. Got first place, beat everyone in classic physique. And I was on a high after that. And I was like, dude, I just won the biggest show of the year in California. Like, I'm only 23 years old. Like, this is my first win. I got the sword. I got the trophy. Like, man, I made the post on Instagram, 300 comments, likes, all this stuff, bro. I was just riding out this high. And that show was at the end of May. So May of 2022. And the next morning I had messaged my coach Matt and I was like, hey, like I want to do USA's, which is, you know, one of the national shows. I want to try to get this pro card. And I have everyone around me telling me, bro, you need to go do it. You need to go turn pro. You need to go do USA's. And I'm like, bro, I just won. I think I won pretty damn easily too. Not to sound cocky, but I think like I was a little advanced for the show that I did. And it's not like a fluke win, like so-and-so should have beat me. Like, I think I won pretty clearly and I'm happy with that. So I'm riding out this high and I'm like, I want to do USA's. He's like, cool, man, let's do it. So mind you, I'm already like extremely low body fat, just won a competition, just put my body through hell for 5-6 months. That show, USA's, wasn't for another 2 months. So I'm like, okay, I got to put my body through hell for another 2 months, but it's going to be worth it because I'm going to turn pro. I was like really big into manifestation. I'm like telling myself every day on the treadmill when I'm doing cardio, I'm going to turn pro. I'm going to win this show. I'm going to win this show. I'm going to do it this year. I got even better than when I won the Mr. California. I got leaner. My posing got better. I just dialed everything in. I was getting massages twice a week. I was doing everything to a T. And I was like, no way anyone's going to beat me. And I show up to this show with these extremely high expectations. And it's my first national show. And there's 18 guys in my class. And in my head, I'm like, I'm winning this shit. Still manifesting it. I'm winning this shit. I'm going to turn pro. Just how I imagine, just how everybody's been telling me. All my family, all my friends are here. This is going to be awesome. Mind you, I'm coming off this win. Long story short, I get on stage and they do call outs. So there was 18 people. So they call out, let's say 6 people. And that's like usually first through 6th place. So I'm in that first call out. They call my number. So I'm like, okay, I expected this. I already know I'm in the top. I already know I'm going to win. And I was on the side. And usually if you're on the side, that's an indicator that you're kind of at the bottom of that call out. So it's essentially if it's 6 people and you're on the side, you're probably 5th or 6th. If you're in the middle, 1st or 2nd. I remember I started on the side and we're posing. I'm giving it my all. And I'm looking down at the judges, and I'll never forget this. These judges did not even look in my direction. Like, I put in all this work for months, 8 months of dieting, treadmill, killing myself, like missing out of all family events, not doing anything, no cheat meals, no nothing. I'm up there with these extremely high expectations, posing my ass off. And these judges didn't even look in my direction once. I'm up there sweating, giving it my all. I hear my family screaming. Everyone's there to support me. These judges didn't even look in my direction, like just totally just overlooked me like, he's on the side. And it was so defeating. And I remember they're like, okay, you guys are good, get off stage or whatever. So obviously I knew, okay, I'm probably not going to win. I was on the side. They didn't even look at me. I'm not going to win. So right there, all of my expectations were just squashed. And I remember I walked back to my phone and I grabbed my phone out of my bag. And I'm so embarrassed because, now my family and friends are waiting for me to come from backstage and whatever. And I didn't even want to go out there. I was like, dude, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I've been saying this whole fucking time, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. Every single comment on my Instagram, DM, bro, you're going to win, this and that. And I just got like shit on essentially. And it was such a terrible feeling like that crushed. And I was so defeated and I was crying, bro, backstage. I was like, fuck. I just had to sit there for a few minutes and take it in like, damn, like, fuck, I just got fucking smoked. Like, I put in all that work, almost, I felt like for nothing. And I just got beat. I just like couldn't comprehend it, couldn't wrap my head around it. And I remember my sister actually texted me. She's been there from day one. And she texted me and she's like, come out, we want to see you. And I was like, I text my girl and I'm like, babe, I don't want to come out. I'm so embarrassed. Even though they're my family and even if I got last place, they would be proud of me. But I was so embarrassed. I did not want to walk out there. So yeah, I walked out there and then they were all just like trying to cheer me up. Like, it's okay, this and that. And, a couple of days went by and I was like, still trying to wrap my head around it. And it was hard because you win and you got everyone around you saying, hey, you're going to win this next one too. You're coming off this high. After that, I was down bad. I was like questioning myself like, dude, maybe I wasn't ready for this national stage. Maybe I'm not as good as I think. And the worst part was, it's hard because in like team sports, like let's say basketball or football, you lose, you could play again in 2 days and like redeem yourself. I did this show and it's like, fuck, now I got to wait a whole entire year before I can prove myself again. So losing that show and like having that embarrassment and feeling like, damn, the judges didn't even look at me, like all this stuff, that sat with me for the whole year. And like, it did help me, obviously, because, when I went into the gym, I thought about losing. I was like, I'm not going to let that happen again. I never want to feel that way again. and it like fueled that hunger. But that was by far my lowest point. You know, I came from this high, and then I was at a very, very low point. I lost. I was so embarrassed. I questioned my abilities. I questioned, do I have the genetics? Is this even for me? Like, should I stop? Like, is this even worth it? Like, I debated, like, will I ever even compete again? Because it felt so shitty getting up there, not even getting acknowledged, and then losing. And I just made my mind up, like, I'm just going to do one more, and I'm just going to give this one my all. And like, I'm going to just do everything I possibly can to not feel that way again. And sure enough, 1 year later, I came back and I won. So it's very, very cool. And, you know, they say you have to be a good loser, or you have to learn how to lose before you know how to win. And, you know, I took the L on the chin and I learned from it. But as far as your question, that was by far my lowest point. Like, yeah, it was shitty, man, for sure.
They say that a lot of the top athletes, Kobe Bryant, you know, whatever, Messi, Ronaldo, right? Top athletes, Chris Bumstead. They say that they hate losing more than they actually like winning. Mm-hmm. Did you feel that in that moment, that feeling of losing, walking off that stage, maybe your heart was racing, you know, whatever it was, walk that stage, did you feel that low was so hard that maybe the winning, I'm not saying that the winning was not, you know, obviously that's a great feeling, you know, those like dopamine comments, you know, likes, whatever it is, but was the losing worse than the winning was winning, I guess?
I think in the moment, you know, obviously winning feels really good and losing feels really shitty. But as far as like the lingering effect, like I just won my pro card, you know, 2.5 months ago, and like 2 weeks went by and I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I did it. You know, it's back to work and same routine, whatever. And, you know, sometimes people will still to this day come up to me at the gym, they congratulate me, and I'm like, what? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Cool. You know, like I won. Yeah. Okay. I remember. But losing, bro, I thought about that shit every single day. Like every single day, bro. Like 10 months after, I'm like walking on the treadmill and I'm thinking of like that moment of how I felt, like standing there on stage and the judge is not even looking in my direction. Like I still think about that like to this day. And that shit, like it hurts, man. Like, you know, any athlete when they lose, like I actually just watched an interview with Klay Thompson, and he was on this other NBA player, Paul George's podcast, and they were talking about Game 7 in 2016 when they had the 3-1 lead against LeBron. And he lost, or they lost rather, and he was like pissed. He's like, bro, that shit still messes with me to this day. I still lose sleep over losing that. And that was 7 years ago. So I think, like, to your question, like, I think by far, like, losing, like, sticks with any athlete longer than winning, you know, because winning is what we expect. You know, nobody, like, trains or works to lose. So, like, when you win, it's like, hell yeah, I'm happy, but I didn't expect anything less. When you lose, it's, like, crushing, you know? So I think losing for sure.
The moment of stepping off that stage when you knew that you didn't win, you know, obviously, so give context as well. So you step off the stage, they don't call winner right away, right? They go back up, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so there's like 2 rounds. So it's like essentially there's pre-judging, which is like where they judge you, where pretty much they place you, and then there's the end, which is finals, and that's kind of like where people do their individual routine with their own music, and then they do the awards. So like another moment, I was backstage at finals, and I still showed up, and the expediter, because they have people backstage, like making sure people are in the right spot, making sure people are in line and ready to go, whatever. And the expediter, I'm in, you know, the group of 18 people with my class. The expediter comes up, he grabs this guy, this guy, this guy. He grabbed the dude in front of me, skips me, grabs the dude behind me. He's like, you guys stand over there. He goes, this, tells everyone, this is the top 5. If you're not in the top 5, hit one pose and get off the stage. And right then I was like, fuck, I thought I at least was in the top 5. Like I could have been like, okay, I got top 5 my first time, like it's cool. But like, then I knew, I'm like, fuck, I got sixth. I missed the top 5. And I feel like I feel like a bum, man. Cause like, you know, like I said, like I trained to win, and getting 6th place, that was like the lowest placing up to this point in my whole career. And like, I remember I sat there, I swallowed just like that. And I go, and just kind of looked around, took it all in, kind of just nodded my head like, okay. I was just trying to like accept it, swallow it, take it for what it is. And then in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to just take this moment in and like just try my hardest to remember what I'm feeling right now, because I never want to feel this again. Like, you know how you feel after, you know, you get cheated on, or heartbreak, or, you know, you lose a family member or something like that. Like, it's a terrible feeling. And like, you can like pinpoint, like, I know it's like, it hurts your heart, hurts you like to the core. And I remember I felt that, and I'm like, I'm going to remember this. I'm going to just remember how this feels, and I'm going to use it. So yeah, there's a prejudging, and then there's a finals.
So your heart probably sank right there. You just, person in front of you, behind you, it's like, what about me? I'm right here, and you didn't get called. You made a good point. It's like, people can use that fire, and it's not just for bodybuilding. It's like, yeah, relationships, you know, the heartbreak. You know, I see a lot of guys using that now as pre-workout, you know.
Yeah.
See that. But I always tell people, I'm like, the best revenge is success. Success is the only revenge. And I encourage a lot of guys nowadays, you know, maybe mental health isn't the biggest thing for people, but I strongly encourage guys, is like, look, man, nothing you can do is going to bring that person back, right? You have to improve yourself, and that person may want you back, but improving yourself is going to help so many areas. And I'm sure you felt that way, not only probably in that stage, but maybe through your last heartbreak, whatever it was you knowing that you need to improve yourself. And then after doing that, knowing that you feel better because you did it for yourself rather than the external factors.
It helps, man. Like, you know, like you said, you can't bring that person back, or in my case, like, I can't go back to that show and do that show over again. Like, it's over, it's done with. What can I do now? You know, like, let me get back to the drawing board and like see how I can improve. That way I don't feel that way again. And, you know, same thing with a breakup. Like, that's why you see so many people, they go through a breakup, and then they're like, they get a new job, they get a new car, they fucking get a new place, and they're like, they level up, right? Because they're like, man, I'm not going to feel that way. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. Like, I'm going to get out there and like do me and like do what makes me happy. So like, losing and like going through hard shit like that, like, ultimately, like, is good for you. You have to go through those trials and tribulations to, you know, it has to like callous your mentality. Like, you know, you get everything handed to you and everything's sunshine and rainbows all the time. It's like, the moment any type of adversity hits you, it's like, you're not going to know how to handle it, you know?
Yeah. I do want to take a minute to also talk about your relationship. And it's a great quote that they say is, behind every great man, there's an even better woman.
Yeah.
You know, I know your relationship. How important of a role has she played in your life and where you are today?
This is probably the most exciting topic that we've talked about now. I'm like super stoked to talk about her. Her name's Tiana, and we've been together.
Tiana.
Yeah, shout out to Tiana. We've been together a little over 2 years now, so relatively fresh, but a good amount of time. And she's been with me through 4 shows. So, you know, the dieting phase, the low body fat, the low energy, the mood swings, like all this stuff, right, that you get when you're dieting. She's been with me through all of it. She was with me when I won the Mr. California, hugging me, so happy for you, babe, you did it, this high. She was with me when I got off stage and I was like fucking just like so defeated. She was with me every day. Like, I'm surprised I haven't driven her crazy with like how much I vent to her. Like, bro, for the whole year up until I won again, I was like, babe, what if I never turn pro? Babe, what if I'm not good enough? Like, babe, like, what if this or what if that? And like, I would always vent to her. And, you know, she never fails to be there for me mentally. And I think I can confidently say, like, without her, I wouldn't like have been able to achieve the things I've like achieved. You know, when you're single, it's cool, you know, but there's a lot of loneliness involved, and like it sucks because sometimes like you don't have, you know, someone to share your success with or share your wins with. You know, you just do everything on your own, and it's very unfulfilling at times, especially if you're single for a long time. Like I've been single for 2 years until I met her. And I remember like I was so unfulfilled, bro, being at home every night by myself. I'm like, bro, this fucking sucks. Like I want to be with someone. I want to have a person to talk to and share these moments with. And, you know, having her, you know, she helps me so much. We train together occasionally. She does her thing. She's a very hard worker at her job, and, you know, she supports me like unconditionally. Like if there's ever anything I need, she's there. You know, I never hesitate to ask her for anything. And, you know, yeah, like I said, without her, like this shit would be so much harder to do and so much less fulfilling. Like, I don't know, being able to share this with her, like to put it in a perspective, like when I turned pro and I was crying, when I got off stage crying tears of joy, she was also crying tears of joy. And she was like, it feels like a weight lifted off my shoulders as well, not only yours.
It's such a great feeling. It's like having somebody proud of you for the work that you've done. They're equally, as if not more, happy for the accomplishment that you achieved. Mm-hmm. And that feeling alone is probably worth millions of dollars, I would say, you know?
Yeah.
Just running off that, you know, you've gone through your high points, you've gone through your low points. Mm. Your relationship has gone through, you know, you've experienced heartbreak. What is the one point in your life where you said, I guess I want to call this like ghost mode, right? Has there ever been a point in your life you're like, I know obviously training, but there's like a ghost mode period when you were single maybe where you just like didn't talk to anybody, like not even friends, just training, gym, cycle over and over again. And then how important do you think that ghost mode was to achieving your goals? Because personally, I've noticed this as well, as like when I'm doing too much, when I'm going out too much, or I'm trying to like build relationships or whatever it is, sometimes I'm not always getting to my goals the way I want. But when I enter that maybe ghost mode or bear mode, they call it, that's when I like excel super, super fast. And it's maybe not the healthiest, but is there a period of your point or a time in your life where you just went completely bear mode and it's like no people, nothing, just focus?
The last 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
And like I don't exaggerate when I say that. Like bodybuilding is the most selfish sport anyone can do because it's all about you. It's all about your meals, your training, your show. It's all about you. And that's why like it gets kind of a bad look, you know? It's like, oh, so self-centered and ego driven and all this stuff. But that's why I'm so thankful for all the people that I have, you know, like my family who's extremely supportive of me, that makes it to every show. All of my friends that are extremely supportive of me and that are always there for me. Like, I'm so thankful for those people because it's like, it's all about me all the time, especially if I'm getting ready for a competition, you know, like if I had $1 for every birthday party or, you know, event that I missed, whether that be family or friends, like, dude, like there was a point where I did not go to a birthday party. I did not go out of town. I didn't do anything for 4 or 5 years because I'm like, nah, I can't go out of town because if I do, I might miss the gym. I might miss my meals. I can't spend money on that because I got to spend money on this. And, you know, obviously as I've gotten older, I think it's more of a maturity thing in the sports. Like now I go out of town and I'm like, I'll just bring my meals with me. It's no big deal. Or now, like if let's say I have a birthday party with a family member, as I've gotten older, like I've realized like life is about experiences and there's so much more to life than just like bodybuilding. And it's like, dude, I can go to this birthday party and just take a meal with me. Like it makes no difference. And that's something I'm very proud of myself because for up until like 2 years ago, I refused to do anything. Like I would feel so bad for my girl, you know, she'd be like, oh, it's your birthday coming up. Like, you want to go out of town? Do you want to do this, this, and that? I'm like, nah, I just want to train. Like we can go to fucking dinner or something. Like I just want to train. I don't want to go nowhere. I don't want to get out of my routine. But as far as your question, I don't mean to get off track, but you said going in that ghost mode. It's like, bro, with bodybuilding, like you can't like go out and you can't travel and you can't hang out with people and you can't do all this stuff. Like you really have to like lock in, because if you don't, like your progression will stall. And especially in like a contest prep setting where, you know, let's say you're 2 months away from a competition, bro, you can't go out drinking. You can't go out of town with your buddies. You can't, every single meal and like every single thing is like accounted for and checked off on a daily basis. Especially now, like when you get to the professional level, like I'm going up against like other professionals who will like legitimately die to like win this shit. Like they will do anything. They'll cut off everyone. They'll cut off anyone and anything. And like, if I'm not making those sacrifices and this person is, more than likely he's going to end up beating me. Yeah. So it's very competitive. So you have to really like lock in, make sure your circle is very small, which mine is, and surround yourself with the right people and the right supporters. And, you know, you have to be able to lock in and just, and stay locked in. Yeah. You know, it's cool to, you know, maybe go out and have a drink occasionally, or maybe go out of town occasionally. Everyone needs that mental reset. Everyone needs to, you know, decompress here and there. But as far as like taking things up to a high level, like, bro, nobody, you want to be a billionaire, like you can't like go out and party and hang out with everyone. Like you got to lock in and do your shit. So it's the same for everyone.
I mean, I guess that's what makes you professional, right? Going back to the same thing, it's like you got to do what you got to do, right? And almost that no matter what the cost is, just achieve that goal. But we are approaching the end here. I do appreciate everything that you said, and I do want to have you back again and do another full episode as well.
Yeah.
But man, I've learned so much from you today, honestly, and I hope that everybody listening has also learned a lot from you, because there's a lot of value you provided. Mm-hmm. Is there any closing statements that you want to say to anybody? Any quote, any motivation that you can give to somebody that wants to achieve their goals?
I think, well, first and foremost, you know, thanks to you for inviting me on the pod. Like I said, it's my first one, and it's been super fun, just as I expected. You know, as far as I don't want this podcast to be just bodybuilding, like how I mentioned. Like, you know, I hope someone who is just like a normal person or maybe like an athlete, I hope like they're able to just to take something from this, like whether it be how I lost and how I used that loss and, you know, the feeling I had when I lost, to then in turn bounce back and like make myself better. That way I didn't feel that way again, or whether it be the delayed gratification that we talked about. I just hope like someone out there watching is able to take at least something from this that helps. And like, that's ultimately the goal with these podcasts, right? Like for people to get to know us, for people to learn, for people to, you know, tag along and watch and take things from them, right? We're not just here talking about like empty stuff with no context. It's like, you know, we want these podcasts to be meaningful. And like, you know, I'm happy because I feel like we touched over a few really, really deep subjects, and, you know, we got pretty in depth there as far as training, bodybuilding, highs, lows, you know, all this stuff. So I think it's pretty cool. But as far as you, I know we're approaching the end. Do you have any like quick hitters in mind? Like maybe something that you don't have written down for me, but maybe just something you want to ask me on a personal level since I'm here now.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I could go on for days, right? I mean, as a personal, just like as a man, just like growing up, you know, we all go through our struggles. It's like, what is, I guess, something that you've learned, not as a bodybuilder, but as a man going through life, transitioning from an 18-year-old to a 20-year-old to a 24-year-old. What are some things that you've learned, that you've grown? You know, what is something that outside of bodybuilding, outside of being an athlete, outside of training, whatever it is, the mental lessons that you've learned?
I think the biggest one that I've tried to hone in on is patience. Like, I don't know if this is something within like, you know, people that are goal driven or like ambitious, but I notice a lot of people are very impatient. You know, if you're like a businessman and like someone fucks up, you're like, bro, like you get frustrated, but it's like, take a second. You know, he's the new guy. I got to be patient. He'll learn. He won't do it again. So I think the biggest thing I've tried to like really practice is like my patience. There was times where I would be so impatient. I'm trying to hang a picture frame on the wall and like I'm trying to hammer the nail in. I'm like, man, fuck this. I don't know how to do it. I'm over it. I'm not even going to try. But I realized like as I've gotten older, like the importance of being patient and just like figuring stuff out, you know, finding how to do things out on my own. And, you know, the delayed gratification aspect has helped a lot. It's like, I wanted to be pro for so bad, for so long, for so bad. And, or I'm sorry, so bad for so long. And, I was getting impatient, but like, as I've gotten older, it's like, you know, it's like, if I train and I do the things I'm supposed to do, like I ultimately will be rewarded. And being very, very patient in all aspects of life with my coaching business, you know, like as much as I would love to have 100 clients and be making, you know, 8 figures and all this stuff, it's like, I need to be patient. Like I'll keep working and I'll get better and I'll continue to improve on my craft. And, you know, my time will come, you know, in all aspects of life. So just patience. And then I think the importance of just trying to be like a genuine human to others. I noticed like in my past, when I was a little bit younger, when someone would come to me with like their problems, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Okay. Like, you know, I feel like I didn't reciprocate the energy versus if I had a problem or if I was going through a breakup, I like expected these people to be there for me, like drop everything, be there for me. But when like it was the other way around, I would be like, bro, like whatever. Like I feel like I only cared about myself. And as I've gotten older, like I really, really have tried to like be very, very genuine to people and like, you know, not put myself above anyone. Like even especially at the gym, like I used to like see people in the gym like, what the fuck's this guy doing? Or what is that? Or this and that. And, you know, now like regardless of what pro or not, like if some young kid like approaches me, and it happens pretty often, like I'll take on my headphones, I'll explain to them what I'm doing, who I am, why I do it, how long I've been doing it. They'll ask me questions about, hey, like I'm trying to put on weight or something. I'll help them. There's plenty of people, because I'm a coach, right? So there's people in my DMs who ask like, hey, how do I put on muscle? Like, what do you recommend? Hey, should I take this cycle? Or what do you think about this supplement? And like, I'll give free knowledge because I just like genuinely like feel for them and I want to help these people and I want to be genuine to them. And, you know, I'm not like, hey, you got to pay me coaching if you want my advice. Like, bro, I'll help you with whatever you need. I see these younger people and I see people my age at the gym. And I'm like, if you see me, don't hesitate to come up. You know, if you have a question, bro, I got you. Like, you know, so I think just being more genuine and just trying to care more about people, you know? So those are two, like just patience for one, and just trying to be more genuine and just be a solid human being, you know?
And those are great lessons. Honestly, I think if anybody's watching or listening, that those two things you just said right there are extremely important as not just somebody who's an athlete, but somebody as a person, as a human. Those are very, very important lessons I feel like that people need to know.
I agree.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for coming, man.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate this so much. Where can people find you on social media?
So all my social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, it's all going to be the same. It's just Andy P Bodybuilding. So it's just my first name, Andy, my last name, initial P, and then bodybuilding, all one word. So yeah, you can find me there on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
Make sure you guys do follow him. He's going to be great. I will pray that your YouTube journey goes well, and I know you're going to do very good. You know, anybody that puts their mind into something and puts their head to it, I believe that they can achieve anything they want. So
yeah, thank you.
We will do this again. We'll do this again very soon. I want to have, you know, more conversations with you. I have a whole, like, another huge page of questions, so yeah, we'll get to it. But thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you, bro. I'll see you again soon. We'll get it going again.
All right. Make sure you guys please subscribe and like, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.